Hi there, I'm Steve the Bread Guy, and today I'm going to show you something that's a little more advanced in the baking world. It's easy to do, but most people don't bother because frankly they've forgotten how. This used to be one of the basic ways of making bread, and we've all gotten used to instant yeast. But the way people used to make bread most of the time was they had one of these. This is Mother. This is a sourdough starter. And let me just open this up. I keep this in the fridge. I made it, I don't know, about 8 months ago. And it's been going strong ever since. Take a sniff. It smells a little bit like beer. It's a mixture of water and flour and a couple of other ingredients, which I'm about to show you. And what we use this for is instead of using dry yeast, we actually pour this into a bowl to get a bread started. It makes the bread have a tangier flavor, and you'll often go to restaurants and taste buns and stuff which are done this way. I'm going to show you how to do this. The trick is you can't do this in a couple of hours. What we're about to do is going to take a couple of days, but the first step only takes a few minutes. Let me just put the cap back on there. So what you want to do is there's yeast in the air all the time. Yeast is a bacterial microorganism, and like lots of bacteria, it's just floating around in the air all the time. And what we're going to do is we're going to capture some. We're going to make some land in this bowl, where we're going to give it something to eat. We're going to put a basket on top of it. It's got lots of holes for air to get through. And we're going to wait a couple of days until the yeast gets in there and starts to eat. Once it starts eating, it'll start to bubble, and that we'll know that we've got a starter on its way. And we'll feed it a little bit more, and we'll end up with this, and then we can start making bread with it. So, how do you get this going? Well, what you need first, and by the way, this is what a sourdough bread looks like. It smells really, really nice. It has a really crispy crust, which you won't get with a normal white bread. Anyway, how do we get this started? Well, we need to start with 4 cups of potato water. So earlier this morning I took a few potatoes, just chopped them up in rough chunks, put them into some boiling water for about 10 minutes, and now I've got potato water. So I'm just going to pour this in. So 4 cups of potato water. And this cup is 4 cups, so if I fill this up, it'll be great. Need a spoon for the rest of this. It's okay if the water's hot. It'll cool off. We're going to be leaving this out for days, so that's fine. Put that back, and of course you can eat the potatoes later. So I'm going to take that potato water, dump it into my bowl. There we go. And now I also need a couple of teaspoons of salt. So 2 teaspoons of salt. Just dump that in there. And we want to give the yeast something to eat, something very yummy. The potato water is full of starch and some carbohydrates from the potatoes, so that'll give the yeast something to eat, seeing as it likes to eat sugars, and carbohydrates are sugars. And I'm going to give it some, excuse the noise there, give it some honey. So a couple tablespoons of honey, again, just because of the sugars. And then finally we're going to give it some flour. So how much flour? Well, 4 cups worth of flour. And this doesn't have to be an exact measurement, so I'm just going to use a regular coffee cup. 1. Just get a spoon out to mix it with. And this is going to be a soupy kind of thing. It's not going to be really thick like a regular dough. This is all just yeast food, essentially. And when you put the top onto the starter, or this proto starter, what you're going to look for in a couple of days, like you're just literally going to leave it covered loosely for a couple of days, what you want to see are bubbles, because the bubbles mean that the yeast has started to eat the flour, and it's expelling carbon dioxide as a byproduct. And that's the sign that yeast has come into your starter. And after that, you'll just have to feed it periodically so that it doesn't go hungry, because it'll eventually eat all the stuff it wants from the flour. And at that point, you'll keep it in the fridge. But we'll get to that later. So there's 3 cups. It's getting nice and thick now. Okay, so lots of yummy food for yeast. This probably started off as an accident. Scientists think that long ago, somebody was making an unleavened bread, a flat bread, where they just mixed water and flour together. And then they left it too long, and they came back and it was bubbly. This may have happened like, 5,000–6,000 years ago. The ancient Egyptians baked bread, so we know that they knew something about yeast. So they found it by accident, and then, of course, once you find something, you don't want to have to do this over and over again. In the 8 days before instant yeast, you couldn't just say, hey, let's make some bread and get started and have bread a couple hours later. So you'd want to keep this magical yeast mixture alive. So you would keep it. You'd always have some on hand. So this is now nice and thick, very gloopy, doesn't move much around in the bowl. By the way, I should mention that I used just regular white flour, unbleached flour. If you've only got bleached flour, that's okay, that's what all-purpose flour is, but unbleached is better just because you're skipping the wonderful step of eating peroxide, which you'll actually find in the ingredients on bleached flour. Anyway, this thing is ready to go. I now just want the yeast to find it, so I'm going to put this basket over top, and I'm just going to set it aside. And I'll check on it tomorrow, but I'd be surprised if anything happens tomorrow. But in 2 or 3 days' time, when I come back, there should be some bubbles on top, and it should start to smell a bit like beer. And that's a great sign. If it smells like beer, that means that the yeast is doing its work and it's fermenting. And so we'll come back in a few seconds for you, for me, a couple of days, and I'll show you what it looks like once the yeast has activated it and what to do next. Okay? See you in a bit. Okay, so it's been 3 days since I last saw you, and 2 seconds since you last saw me. And let's see how our mother is doing. Aha! It's alive! It smells terrible, smells like beer, but that's fine. That means that the yeast has been doing its thing. It's all bubbly, just the way we'd expect it to be. So some yeast from the air landed into the flour and water mixture and has slowly been eating and multiplying over the last couple of days. And now, this thing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some plastic wrap on it for another day, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge. So let me just do that right now. And the plastic wrap's just to keep, dirt from falling into it and dust and so forth. So, and loosely, seeing as its gas is going to come out of there, so if you put it on tight, it'll balloon up. So, that's looking great. Now, let me show you what it'll look like once you put it into the fridge. Here's a starter I made many months ago. And this one, if you look at it closely, it has liquid on the top and then the flour mixture on the bottom. But this sort of clearish looking liquid is separated out. Don't be worried by that. When it comes time to use this, as I'll show you in my sourdough bread recipe, you'll just refresh it, take it out of the fridge and then refresh it with a cup of flour, and that gets its juices going, literally wakes the yeast up a bit as it comes to room temperature, and it'll start to bubble and froth again. This is actually a really easy way to make bread. You don't have to wait like 20 minutes, or 10 or 20 minutes to come back as the instant yeast starts to foam up. With this, just take it out in the morning or in the evening, put a cup of flour into it, walk away, an hour later you're ready to make your bread. So don't be afraid of this. It's a very old process which people have been doing for a long time. It's not hard. You can do this, and you could have a mother at your house in a few days. She won't tell you to clean your room. She'll just make good bread for you. So I encourage you to try it, and let me know how your sourdough breads come in. See you later.